One. How much siblings do I have?
How many sisters?
4.
Yeah, you're one of 4 sisters.
Yeah, I have a lot of sisters.
A lot of sisters.
Mimi, what's going home? You got Vanessa. Vanessa was being silly.
Vanessa was being silly.
Did you like me?
Did I like you?
Did you like me?
Yes. I love you.
And then Selena came.
And what's that you got in your hand right there?
My angel.
And why is it special to you?
Because it remembers me of when I first came into my parents' lives.
My family today is insane. It's wonderful. Brian and I have adopted 4 beautiful little girls.
We have in our house 2 dads, 4 daughters, and a dog.
It's been an awesome experience. And nobody understands a foster parent except for other foster parents and why they would do this. You know, people think it's a money issue. People think it's I never had kids and I'm missing something issue. It's a different kind of parenting and it's important. And it really clicked for us, the process of starting a family from children that needed to be a part of a family. We had finished our training, gotten our license, waited. We waited and we waited. And we hear that this happens, everybody that we know, we waited. We still didn't think it was going to happen until they called for Selena.
It was just shy of her 2nd birthday, and she was living in a group home because she needed some attention. She was born prematurely, and she was 2 pounds and 14 ounces. And they started to talk to us about it, and we started talking in the home. And
there was a hesitation because obviously it's a huge commitment to come into your life, and there's no going back. But every parent does that. Everybody deals with this.
We went to the office and we met with the caseworker and her supervisor. They just kept telling us, great things about this little girl. And so we went to this group home and we met this little girl who climbed into John's lap and started playing with his nose. And that was sort of the end of the beginning. It was a year, 4 months, and 20 days until her adoption went through. Right before her adoption went through, actually, we got the call about Vanessa. Vanessa was in the hospital. She was 5 days old, and they needed someone to come pick her up.
Brian and I fortunately worked together, so I could say, go get the baby. I'm going to wrap up here.
So I went to Target and got a car seat and some diapers, and
he left and sent me pictures of the shopping cart running through Target, getting all the baby things that we actually already had. And then she came home, and she was beautiful. She's amazing. She had such personality, quiet. We had 2 months of a little bit of chaos and not sleeping, but really easy.
And that was in February of 2013. And in May of 2013, they called again. And they said, we have another infant.
And Brian called and said that they had called about Alima.
So I called him and I was like, do you want to do 3 girls?
I was so confident because it had gone so well with Vanessa that I said, why not? Sure, we can do it. So we brought Alima home, who was drug exposed, and the story was turned on its head. It was the exact opposite experience. But she was amazing when she came through her detox.
She had some drugs in her system, and we sort of started dealing with that. Vanessa was a very quiet baby, so it was sort of kind of easy as Alima needed some extra attention and some extra care.
She never slept. She didn't eat much. She was very cranky, so none of us slept or ate much, and we're all very cranky. She wasn't walking. She didn't have good motor skills. She wasn't very verbal, but that changed very quickly.
It was 10 days in that the division called and said, we've made an error. Alima actually is not gonna go directly into the adoption unit. We have to go back to permanency. Do you wanna keep her? Because our home was an adoptive home. We only wanted to foster adopt. We didn't like the idea of bringing a child into our home for that child to go away. And we took the risk with that case, not knowing how it was gonna end. So it was in October of that year that, we started to hear that the visits were gonna start and that the judge was pushing for reunification. The caseworker said, the parents wanna meet you. She came over to our house, she was so excited about it. She said, because they opened that door, I felt, it was okay for me to start telling them a little bit about you and the family that Alima was in. And she told her about the girls, and she said, and it's two dads who are raising her and the mom. She said, of course it is. This is the best dressed child I've ever seen on these visits.
It ended up that we started the visitations with her family, who had made great changes in their lives to bring her back home. And that was what happened with Alima. So, wow. Alima was doing great in our house. Our family was terrific. Alima was walking first. She was 3 months younger than Vanessa. They were learning to speak together. They were playing together and luring each other into the tents and the cubbies and all that kind of stuff. And it was just terrific in our tiny little house in Maplewood. So then they came to change the story and bring her home.
The worst day of my adult life was having to put Alima in the back seat of a car and telling her to be brave, and then watching her drive away. And everyone was in tears.
Though it was the hardest thing that I think I've ever had to do, Alima went back and they did the best they could.
In January of last year, January 19th of last year, we got Gia, who was added to our family. And her case, she was in one home, but that home wasn't an adoptive home.
Gia walked in and owned the place the minute she arrived. She's my favorite little monster. The girls were really excited, and we decided to open our home again for the third again. We had realized that Alima was not going to be coming back. We got everything together, we set up the rooms, we did everything you need to do, and Gia came home and blended right in, and we had our 3, and we had such fun.
That was the 19th of January of last year, and she came in, and it took her about 2 days, and then she felt right at home. And then the 29th of that month, Alima's mom unfortunately passed.
With a phone call one Sunday afternoon that brought Brian back over to Linden to pick up Alima. So she came back and stayed. And in December, we finalized both of their adoptions.
I mean, adoption day is definitely the happiest day for a foster adopt family. John actually is a costume maker. We run a costume shop in the city that builds costumes for Broadway, and he has designed and we've built every girl's adoption day dress.
And that was a way that I wanted to bring my community, who are incredibly supportive of Brian and I, and people who make dresses for the Diva on Broadway are then sitting there, and we got great pictures of all the girls getting their fittings. They're terrible fit models, all my girls. I remember Gia just laid in the beanbag chair with her tights up to her chest, big belly sticking out, and she wouldn't participate beyond there. We had to wrestle her into it, but it's special. It's a special thing to have for all these girls.
It's sort of like a bride's dress, it's like they will always have this adoption day dress. There is a sense of obviously celebration, but relief. I think one of the things that took us a little bit of time to latch onto, which we were trained on, but it just took a minute to sort of absorb, is don't speculate.
Be patient, be calm, and try to think outside the box, because it's an unconventional parenting situation. There's a lot of people involved, but the only one that matters is the kid. So you can listen and just hold on.